Hello, a very good morning to you all. I hope you are doing well today, as I do every day. We are going to be making some little wire bracelets today. They're really straightforward. I'm going to be showing you how to use the wire as essentially lashing. So it's not weaving, it's not intricate, wire wrapping as such. It's just curving around the wire to make a very pretty design and doing some wrap loops. These bracelets are also adjustable, so we have some lovely little slider clasps on them, and then therefore you can make them to fit pretty much anybody you like. They are gemstones, which makes me very, very happy. Gorgeous, gorgeous gemstone rounds in, I think we have 7 colours and 7 different types of gemstones. So we've got 4 on the gold and 3 on the silver. So you'll be using some 0.8mm wire today, which is a 20 gauge wire. We're going to use 2 lengths of the wire to create that lovely kind of wrapped bracelet look. So I'm going to say hello and good morning to you all. Izzy's in first. She says it looks like a nice make. Thank you very much. Good morning to Yolanda, who is in Michigan. It's 5 a.m. in the morning in Michigan, and she's starting a new work week. I don't know where the weekend's gone. It's been kind of abysmal weather-wise. It's very overcast. The wind is picking up, and I think we're going to have an awful lot more rain today. So a nice one to stay indoors and get making. Good morning to Anastasia. She says it's 5 a.m. in Atlanta. Good morning to Rachel in a windy Barrow. So the wind's already started where you are, as is Jan, who's in a very windy Sudbury. Good morning to Anne. Hello to Jan, who says, I love this make. I've got into gemstones in a very big way. Well, I'm not going to speak to you about the properties of the gemstones. I'm just going to talk to you about the beautiful colours of them, because otherwise we'll be here till next week. I could talk about each one for a long time. Good morning to Lisa. Hello to Just Me, who says good morning all. Sheila's in as well. And Stacey's in as well. She says, good morning, beautiful, from Islamore. Isla Morada in Florida. Isla Morada? Is it Isla Morada? I think it's Isla. I think I've messed that up. Thank you, Stacey. Sorry for butchering your wonderful place of living in Florida. Thank you so much for being with me today. And good morning to Camille. She said, I thought I'd try here. Facebook for a change. How was you and your weekend? I'm okay, thank you. I went to see my sister in a women's or for the mums football team for charity. It was a brilliant match. I forgot how competitive it was. I mean, I don't really particularly love my football, but you'd think I'd been coaching them because I was screaming at the sidelines. It was a 2-2 draw in the end. It didn't go to penalties because it was for charity, but it was really, really good. We got absolutely soaking wet through, though. It rained from before they kicked off right up until the final whistle blew. So wet and soggy, but yeah, a nice weekend. Thank you so much. Good morning to Joanne. She says, good morning, Natalie, and all from a very windy, damp Coventry. I hope you've all had a lovely weekend. Well, let me know what you've been up to. Did you have a nice weekend? What were you doing? Did you get wet? Did you stay dry? Did you make anything? Good morning to Elaine. She's in a very wet and windy Accrington. So us over here in the UK seem to be feeling the effects of autumn. I've put my kind of autumnal little dress on today, and I do love the autumn. It is probably my favourite season. I just love looking at the colours of like the changing leaves and getting wrapped up warm in jumpers and scarves and finding my gloves and my hat each morning when I'm like, where have I put them? Let me take you down on the mat and you can see what we're making today. So these are our beautiful gemstone bracelets in an array of colour. I'm going to get a silver slider and a gold slider out to show you. So they're going to come with these lovely little things, which you don't need any jump rings. You can add jump rings to them, but they're just little slider clasps. So you attach those onto the loops that we're going to be making on our bracelets, and then you can slide this open and you can close it by just moving that bead. So the bead has like a little silicone inside to it, and that's just going to hold on to this. I think it's like a lovely box chain, and it will just slide up and down that. So that makes your bracelets adjustable, which means they can fit from tiny little sizes to big sizes. I'm making this wrapped section with the gemstones, and that will be enough just to kind of slip over your hand. And of course you can make these larger or smaller if you wanted to, but by just pulling up on the chain, it is more simplistic than I'm making it look. That will fit around the full front of your wrist, and it's nice and comfortable because it sits nice and flat. The bulb in my light is flickering, so hopefully it doesn't explode, because you will hear me squeal, I know I will. So there you go. So you can make these as small as you like. By bringing those up, that's going to just bring in that section of the bracelet. And we have 3 lovely colours and gemstones on the silver, and then we have 4 lovely ones on the gold. So I'm still using the same amount of wire, the same amount of gemstones, and the same gauge of wire. It's a 20 gauge wire, so a 0.8. I'm not using any weaving or wrapping wire, that's just 1 gauge. And you can see we've got some gorgeous gemstones there for you as well. Camille says, love the slider chains. Good morning to Sue. So I'm going to take you over to the website now so you can see exactly which gemstones we're working with. Of course, they do vary in price because gemstones fluctuate in price. But what is wonderful about these kits is, for the price of the kit, I think if you are selling to make, you will easily sell your bracelet for the price of the kit. But we want to make a little bit of profit if we're selling. Surely we need to keep us in making. So the kits don't make 1 bracelet. The kits make 3 bracelets, which is amazing. So really good value for you today. And of course, if you are making to sell and making for somebody, or you're just going to make to keep in your gift drawer, and if somebody pops around, you think, oh, I haven't got them a gift, you can of course just pick one of these out the drawer, and it doesn't necessarily matter who you're gifting it to. Because of that adjustability, it's likely to fit pretty much everybody. So over we go to totalybeads.co.uk. If I can bring up the website, I'm already in the video tutorial section. So if you need to find us, head over to totalybeads.co.uk. That'll take you onto the main page here. And of course, you can just click into the video tutorial section. This is going to allow you to watch back this tutorial whenever you like, or any other tutorials that we've been working on, and also get your kits. They're gorgeous. So these today I've named Rahima. I've named them after my wonderful friend, a lady I used to work with quite a while ago, and we still keep in touch. The name means merciful and kind, I think, and she very much is. And I thought they made a very pretty name for very pretty bracelets. So, as I say, these will change in price, but there is 10% off each of your kits today. So we have an Amazonite, which is a beautiful kind of light blue colour, and that's on the silver. That's £17.99. We have a citrine on the gold, which is £17.99. We have our Rahima slider bracelet in gorgeous garnet on the gold. I think that's my favourite at the moment. I just love how rich. It's referred to as the pomegranate stone, I think, and I absolutely just love the colour of that. They would also look beautiful mixed, so if you wanted to multi-buy, I think a lot of them would look gorgeous mixed together, and I'll show you how you can mix them as well. In fact, I'm going to demo with a mix today. I'm going to be naughty. We've got the green Adventurine, which is on the gold. That's just £13.49. We've got a Lepidolite, which is a gorgeous kind of purpley colour, kind of pinky purple, a little bit in between. That one is £13.49, and that is on the silver. We also have a rose quartz on the silver, which is £12.59. And then we have a tiger's eye, of course, on the gold, just to get that gorgeous gold tones and the chatoyancy of the beads. And that's £13.49. So all of them today have been 10% discounted off for you already. I think you would easily pay £17.99 for just one of those bracelets. But of course, they do vary in price. You can get I think the cheapest one there is the rose quartz for £12.59. And you will see if you click into them, each of your kit is going to make 3 bracelets. So you could sell one of them, I think, quite comfortably for that price. So in your kit, you're going to get your gemstone round beads, your adjustable slider connector bracelet, and your copper wire, which is your 0.8 20 gauge in whichever colour you choose. So your silver slider will go with the silver wire, and your gold will go with your gold finish. The gemstone beads I'm using today are 6mm rounds, and there your information is here. If you want to add any more into your kit, you can add a quick add there, or you can see what the measurements and diameters of things are on each individual thing. So you're getting 6 centimeters in the little slider. It's got like a rhodium finish to it. I think it complements the kind of silvery colour wire. Really, really nice. So that one is your Amazonite. I don't really need to go into each one because they're all the same. It's just the beads that change. This one is your citrine. So you can see here you're getting that 6 centimeter gold coloured slider, and then you've got your citrine in 6mm and your 0.8 wire in the gold. If you want a little closer look, help yourself, have a little scroll. I do think there's going to be a lot that would look really beautifully together mixed. I think the garnet would look gorgeous with the citrine. I really, really do. I think it would look quite nice with the green as well, to be fair. So here you've got your 6 centimeter adjustable bracelet chain on a 0.8 wire with your garnet round beads. They're 5mm in size. They're slightly smaller, but to the naked eye, I can't see much of a difference with them, but they're usually about 6 millimeters each of your beads. Some of them might be a 5mm bead instead. We have your green adventurine. That looks gorgeous on the gold. Of course, if you wanted to, you could swap that over for the silver. If you wanted to add in an extra wire and an extra chain, you can just quick add there. So they're 6mm green adventurine round beads. And then we have your lepidolite. If you want a little closer look, I'll show you them down on the mat as well. Again, each kit's going to make 3 bracelets. And there's your beautiful lepidolite. If you have a little hover over them, you can see the gorgeous kind of purpley, pinkishy tones. And a little bit mink, a little bit pink, a little bit purple. I'd say they're more on the lavendery purple spectrum. But of course, things look different to different people in different lights. I did see a really funny video of a lady who was convinced her couch was blue. Everybody else just seen it as grey. This is your rose quartz. So your rose quartz is a gorgeous stone. It's obviously each of them kind of represent different things. If you're looking for something that represents kind of love and friendship, your rose quartz is good for that. If you want something which is kind of protection and strength, a lot of people will choose the tiger eye. You can see they've got the most beautiful kind of cat's eye finish on those beads. Look at them, absolutely gorgeous. So they're all the colours for you. I will take you back down onto the mat and I'll show you if you want to have a little mix. Today I'm going to mix the rose quartz with the Amazonite because I do love pinks and blues together. I do think the citrine and the green adventurine would look lovely. I think that would give a really lovely kind of summer, kind of autumnal vibe. I think if you wanted to mix the garnet in with them as well, you'd really get an autumnal look. I have just done a little one as a little practice to just check I knew what I was doing. And I mixed the lepidolite with the rose quartz and the pinks together, looked quite nice. You could do whatever you wanted with these, but they come predominantly just one gemstone or one type of gemstone, but you're going to get lots in there because you're going to be making up 3 bracelets in each of your kit. These are the Rahima wire bracelets today. So head over to totallybeads.co.uk if you would like to get your hands on the kits. Let me see if I've missed any comments or any questions. Good morning, Mina. There she is. She's the birthday girl. She was sorry late today. I was on a work teams meeting. I hope you had a lovely weekend. Did I say tiger tail, Camille? I meant tiger eye. Right, so this is your tiger's eye. Did I say tiger tail? I'm sure I did. Okay, look at it. It's gorgeous. Look at the sheen on those. You can kind of move the beads around as well. So if you want to position your favourite part of the bead. Of course, every gemstone is unique and different because they are natural kind of stones and minerals. So if you wanted to get them all exactly the same, it's never going to happen. Even if you've got all of your tiger tail, I did. Even if you've got all of your tiger eye, all one strand, they're all going to be unique and individual. This sunshiny yellow one is your citrine. It is down as citrine. I don't think it's heat treated amethyst. It says it's citrine. It's got that lovely kind of warm golden glow. Anastasia says, I love the chain. I've got them all ready to put on my wish list so I could order them to try and place an order. If you want to, you could always just make a clasp with this. You don't have to put the extendable slider on there. You could easily just attach a jump ring and a lobster clasp to it, or you could make yourself a wire clasp if you wanted to. But I do like having that kind of adjustability on the bracelets. So that is the citrine. Would look lovely with the green aventurine if you wanted to mix them up. And I'm not, just look at the garnet. Look at the garnet. Love the garnet. Deep, deep reds, like glacier cherries. Absolutely beautiful. And you've got your lepidolite or your lepidolite, however you want to pronounce it, with the rose quartz. And then we have the Amazonite as well. So today I'm going to do a little mix with both of them using the silver wire. And you'll see this is how a mixed one would look. So this is the lepidolite and the rose quartz. Oh, I'm glad you had a lovely day, Mina. Right, let's get making. They are easy peasy and you can make them in minutes. I'm going to take my wire. I'm going to cut one length at about 40 centimetres, so that's about 16 inches. This is 20 gauge wire, 0.8. I'm then going to cut another length of about 30 centimetres, which is 12 inches. And I'm just going to run that through my wire straighteners because we want to make sure that we're working with fairly... bashing about there, I do apologise. We want to be working with fairly straight wire, so any nylon coated pliers that you've got will be a really good idea for just straightening that out. Let me just lay that out. So I'm going to measure that against my ruler and then I'm going to cut that off. So I've got one at 40 centimetres, one at 30 centimetres, so one at 16 and one at 12 inches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the longer one, which is the 40 centimetre one, and I'm going to bring those ends of the wire together because I want to find the middle. So I'm just going to bring the ends together. And then with my bail step making pliers or my round nose pliers, I'm going to just find the centre by just popping it in the top. I'm going to be using my bail step pliers to make sure my wrap loops are the same on both sides. And I'm going to be using the second smallest step on the bail step plier. Of course, if you haven't got them, round nose work just as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring them down, so I've kind of folded those wires in half. They will want to cross over each other, and that's absolutely fine. You can do it at this point if you want to take your pliers and keeping it in the bail step pliers or the round nose. I'm just going to pick up the chain nose and I'm just going to give it a little pinch around the neck of the pliers and bring that together. So I've created a little loop. I'm then going to take the shorter length of wire, which is your 12 inches or 30 centimetres, and I'm going to put a little bend in it at about 5 centimetres down, which is about 2 inches. So I'm just going to put a little bend in it there. Now I'm finished with my ruler. I'm going to bring in that looped wire, the longer one, And I'm going to put it again around my round nose or my bail step making pliers. And then I'm just going to take where the bend is on that smaller wire and line it up. And again, with the chain nose pliers, I'm just going to pinch so they come together around to make a little loop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that smaller end of the tail, so where we bent at about 5 centimetres or 2 inches, and I'm just going to use that, so that's sitting at the top and coming across all the wires. I'm just going to use that to wrap and bind all the wires together. Now usually when I'm wrapping my wires together, I usually wrap about 3 times. I'd like to wrap this a little bit more because I kind of want it to match the wraps at the end of the bracelet. It doesn't matter too much, but I'm going to wrap about 5 times, I think. So I'm just taking my chain nose pliers and bringing it over the top of them all, and then around the back of them all, and then again around the top of them all. Just little half turns. So that's about 4 wraps, that'll probably do. And you can either cut off any excess wire, or you can use the remainder of it. Just to flatten it all in. Make sure you tuck that wire end down. We want it nice and smooth. Anastasia said tiger eye and citrine would look amazing together. And Jan says garnet is my birthstone. So that means you're January, doesn't it then, Jan? Was it you? Okay, Camille says it was me that typed it wrong, not you, but my influence on you is great. She got me to say it too. Didn't know whether I did, but knowing me, I probably called it tiger tail instead of tiger eye. Right, so there you go. I'm just running my finger over it to make sure it's nice and smooth. So when I take this off, let me just give that a little push down. When I take this off my round nose pliers or my bail step making pliers, I've now got 3 little ends of the wire. One is slightly longer, and then I've just wrapped around using that 0.5 to create that kind of double loop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 smaller sections of wire. They'll be equal in length because this was the longer one that we originally bent in half. So I'm going to move this wire out of the way. And then I have these 2 pieces here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about 11 gemstones onto each one. What I'm going to do is, because I'm being a little bit naughty today and I'm going to mix the colours, I'm going to put 11 of one onto one side and 11 of one onto the other side. Because as we twist them round, those colours will kind of sit like a top row and a bottom row. But if you've chosen whatever kit you have, all you need to do is slide your gemstones onto each one. So I'm going to use about 11, but of course you can add less if you wanted to. You've got that adjustable chain, so as long as it's going to cover the top of your wrist, that will be sufficient. So on I go with my gorgeous rose quartz. Now I just got some off the strand, but I think I may have just got 11 off the strand, just without counting. I always feel smug when I do that. Let's check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. 11 will do me fine. And I'm just going to bring them down towards the bottom. What I am going to do is I'm going to put a little bend just in the end of that wire, just to stop them sliding off, because as I say, I tried to make one before just to check I knew what I was doing, and I managed to get them all over the place. Okay, and now I'm going to go with these gorgeous kind of blue, light blue toned ones, which are your Amazonite. And again, no 2 gemstone is the same. They're all Amazonite, but you can see all those gorgeous different tones. Rachel says my birthstone is amethyst, so that means you're February, is that right? Okay, so on we go, just really nicely, easily to string them on essentially. Your drill holes in the gemstone beads are really, really good sized. Sometimes when you get gemstones on a strand, the drill holes are just minuscule in them and you can't get anything other than a tiger tail or like a beading thread through them. These are gorgeous. I'm using a 20 gauge wire or a 0.8, and I think those drill holes are probably a 1 mil. I think if I had some 1mm wire to hand, I could probably get those through as well. So on they go. Now, sometimes you can do them so you've got 11 on one and 11 on the other, or the same amount on one and the same amount on the other. But what you can also do as well is you can, if you want to, make one bead less and stagger it that way. So you can either create it where you have one bead sitting in the first row, or I've got one with an example of two. There you go. So you can see that wire's capturing those two gemstones here. So you just do whatever feels best. Bend up the end though, just to stop them from sliding off, and push your gemstones down. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So I love those colours together. So I'm pushing the gemstones down towards that little wrapped part here, and this is how easy it is. I'm going to hold them together in my hand, and this longer tail that we had, which was made with technically the shorter wire that I used to wrap around the top, is just going to come around. So I'm going to have to hold this up and hope that they don't all fall off. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the wire around the back and then around the front. Keep pushing the gemstones down as you go, and it's just going to catch that next gemstone. So bringing it round to the top row and crossing over to catch the next one. Push them in together as you do it, just to keep these wires and beads running flat. And all I'm doing is just winding that wire round. So I'll do it slowly so you can see. I'm taking it so it becomes kind of crisscross. So if you want to, you can flip and you can twist your bracelet as you go. And I'm just locking in between those gemstones, or you can just bring it round. It does feel a little tighter when you twist it this way. So flip to the front and going across the bottom row. I will name them as I'm doing it. So I'm taking it around the back. It's going to sit by the rose quartz and now the amazonite. And then as I've got here those two gemstones caught, I want to just go around the back there, and that will kind of catch the next two. Does that make sense? It's really, really, really straightforward. There's no detailed weaving, no detailed wrapping, just using that wire as kind of lashings almost, just to wind it around. So what I'm going to do now is you can straighten out those two little bits, probably cut them off anyway, and I'm going to take my chain nose pliers. I'm going to compress those two wires in together, and then using this tail end, I'm going to wrap round again just to lock those two in place. Now all I'm going to do this time is wrap it round twice. I've got a larger wrap here, and I'm going to create the same amount of wraps using this when I create my wrap loop, but two will just secure that in place. So bring the wire round, and then with your chain nose pliers, I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut off nice and close, getting rid of my tail end. And again, I'm going to just take my chain nose pliers, compress that wire down. We want to make sure there's no sharp edges. It's not going to catch or scratch on anything. And then I'm left with these two tail ends there. Now you can see with the length of wire that I've started with, you can absolutely add on more if you wanted to, and you could do your full bracelet without the extended chain. I'm just going to try and give it a little squish down because I've got it a little bit more compact here than I have at that end. So I'm just going to kind of manipulate it to make sure I'm happy with where it goes. If this wire is sticking out where I've started to wrap it and you want to just manipulate that a little bit, you can give it a little twist to the back and then it will kind of be hidden underneath there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a wrap loop at the top. You can see how quick this make is to come together. So I'm going to take my round nose or my bail step making pliers again, and I'm going to make the same size loop that I have on this side. That does need to just be a little bit more centered. So I'm just going to pop it in place and tilt it to get it sitting up a little bit more. So I made it with the second step on my bail plier, so I'm just going to push them together and bend them over and then reposition my pliers. So the jaws of my round nose pliers or bail step pliers are now sitting above and below, and I'm using these two wires as one. So I'm going to bring it round to make my wrap loop, reposition my hand just to get that right across and underneath, and then I'm swapping into my less dominant hand. I'm then going to take these tails of wire, and I am doing it with my fingers, but you can do it with your tools, but this wire is nice and supple. And I'm just going to bring it round the back and bring it round the front, and then fill that little space in between. Push it nice and flat. So I've got those little wraps all together. I will compress that down because it's raised up a little bit. Now all I need to do is just cut off those tail ends of my wire. Little tip, if you cut your wire one at a time, you'll get more longevity out of your pliers, but I don't. As you can see, I just cut them at the same time. I'm then going to pop it back into my round nose or my bail step pliers just to get a little bit of purchase as I use my pliers, my chain nose, to just make sure those tail ends are stuck into the bracelet and are nice and flush. So I'm just going to be filling that space and run my finger over it to make sure that we have it nice as we want. So that is now the core kind of body of my bracelet. You can now shape that into your bracelet shape. What I tend to do, because I don't have a bracelet mandrel, is I'll use something cylindrical. This is a gorgeous fluorite, and it's like a little lamp, but you can see it's nice and sturdy. A candle I often use as well. And all I'm going to do is just start to bend it around just to get that curved shape. You can curve it with your fingers too. Start from the middle and gently work your way out. You want to do it in little parts rather than just big sharp bends. So you're just going to get that curve. Now do remember that your wrist isn't fully round. It's not this shape, it's cylindrical. So it's more oval shaped rather. So I'm just gently pushing, and what I would like is I would like to kind of just push those loops down flat just so they turn in. So I have that kind of shape, and that will eventually sit along my wrist. You can always shape it around your wrist as well. That's the joy of using wire. You've got that bendability with it. So if I was going to make that longer, I could just tuck those ends in and I could have it as kind of like a little bangle that clips on and off. If I wanted, I could add a clasp onto the end of it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it adjustable, and I'm going to use these absolutely gorgeous slider bracelets. So they're just little chains, and you'll see there's little loops at the end that open, and you have to be quite gentle with these. So I'm going to take my pliers and I'm just going to give it a little flick up and open it just like I would do with a jump ring. So I'm holding that little part down and flicking the little part up, and then I'm just going to slide that through the two wires. Now it's a small little loop, but it still fits around those two 0.8s. I'm then going to close it over just like I would do a jump ring. So I'm going to take one of the sections, I'm going to take another pair of my pliers, And I'm just going to hold, difficult to do under camera, but I'm just going to hold across where that loop is and give it a little twist to close. Not quite got it at the angle I want to. Let me hold it steady there. There you go. Little tiny twist just to close that loop. And then I'm going to lay it out, so I don't want these parts twisted. I'm going to lay it out and then just picking up the next side. I'm going to give it a little flick to open. You can use your other pliers, but what I would suggest is just hold this section here very gently. Let's get into shot. And then all you need to do is slide that bit on. And then I'm just going to close that up. So let me get a little bit of purchase. If you want to, you could as well add your jump ring onto this, but you can see that fits on nicely. And then your bracelet is absolutely done. Heather says these are lovely. Camille says that you've got time to make a tiger eye and a citrine, 1, 2. Rachel says, very true, Joanne. 2 birthstone Aquaria. Joanne says, Natalie, I was thinking of those 2 gemstones go well for brides and bridesmaids. I think all gemstones go well for brides or bridesmaids. If I was a bride or a bridesmaid, I'd like a gemstone. I'll pop it on. So I'm just going to hold those 2 ends of the sliding clasp. And then I will just push up. So you can see I'm just pushing up with my fingers. A nice easy way to put a bracelet on yourself as well, to be honest. And you can see now that's just curving around my wrist. I can shape it a little bit more if I want to, and you've got a lovely kind of wrapped gemstone bracelet in absolute minutes. Mina says you make it look easy. It is, Mina. It really is straightforward, and I do think they may be a good seller for you if you are selling your jewellery. If not, I think they make lovely gifts, and they make lovely gifts to yourself. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about gemstones. Heather says she's ruby, so are you June? No, pearl is June. July. You're July, is that right, Heather? There is lots of different birthstones associated with different. You tend to get like a traditional semi-precious stone, and you can get a gemstone kind of one as well. And I mean, it's just like what you like, don't you? I think I love a birthstone. I love birthstones, but just because you're assigned a particular birthstone doesn't mean you have to have that one. I know somebody whose birthday is August and they don't particularly like peridot. You've also got to think, well, who attributed these to? No one's saying, oh, you have to have this because that's when your birthday is. I like my birthstones, and I've got quite a few because I'm December, and I love birthstones. I created my collection and I included birthstones and birth flowers in my collection that I created. But you know, it's probably an advertising kind of company at some point that was like, right, let's assign these to different people and we'll sell more stuff. I think, isn't that always how things work? It always comes down to money, doesn't it? Camille says, lovely make, thank you, Natalie. Rachel says, very pretty, quick make, thank you, Natalie. Bethel's here, hello to you. She says, these are very sweet. I think they're really, really comfortable, you know, dead easy to take on and off, really quick to make, and you're getting 3, enough to make 3 in each of your kits. Don't forget to die. So when you see gemstones, you can sometimes think, oh, they're a little bit pricey. These are fabulous price, I think. Sometimes things look a little bit more pricey because, you know, we use a lot of kind of glass beads in our makes here at Totally Beads. We use a lot of, what's the word? It's not acrylic. Is it acrylic? Yeah, we use lots of different materials to make lots of beautiful beads. Gemstones are Earth's treasures, aren't they? You know, some of them will have took, well, most of them will have took millions of years to form. And then we have to kind of cut them, polish them, shape them. So there's a lot that goes into having beautiful natural gemstones. Um, and they, I think, make you, if you do make to sell, it gives you the option to add that little bit extra to your offerings. So I mean, I'm going to go out there. Everyone loves a gemstone. Don't know anybody who doesn't love a gemstone. Not everybody will believe in the kind of metaphysical and spiritual properties of gemstone, but surely everybody likes a gemstone. And if you like jewelry, you've got to love a gemstone. What's wrong with you if you don't? Izzy says, I love these connect and change. Great idea for memory wire ones too. And Just Me says, neat clasp, beautiful bracelet. Thank you so much. If you would like to get your hands on these kits, then all you need to do is head over to totallybeads.co.uk and you can find them all on the website. I've named them Rahima. So here they are for you again, the Rahima Gemstone slider bracelets. You get 3 in each of your kits, whether you choose the Amazonite, the citrine, the garnet, the green aventurine, the lepidolite, the rose quartz, or the tiger's eye. So lots of lovely gemstones to play with today. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm going to be back with you on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I'm making the thing I thought I was making last week. So I'm going to be making some lovely necklaces with you on Wednesday. If you can come and join me then. It's lovely to see you all here today. Got lots of you in, and it's just really nice to spend my morning making. I'm going to go and attempt to make my builders some bacon butties. I don't eat it, but they're very eager. So while the rain's just about to start, I'll let them take shelter. Have a lovely week, everybody, and I will see you on Wednesday. Take care. Bye.